Well, ladies and gentlemen, a lot of people ask us what are the different classes in SVRA, because we technically have 12 classes and then a few special classes. This is a great representation of a Group 1 car, a 1300cc small, nimble, light car. So it's got 1300 cc's. This one's in the rear, but MGs, midgets, Bridgets, all kinds of things like that. But also Group 1 cars had to be built in a factory. So that is a small bore production car is a Group 1 car. SVRA Group 3, one of my favorites because I always love the small bore British production cars. Triumph Spitfire, a great representation. These Triumph Spitfires, very good Group 3 cars, always out there competing against the air-cooled Porsche 356s, the 912s, but I prefer the Spitfires. So Group 4, I can't think of a better representation than the beautiful Lotus 11. Back in the day in the 50s, Group 4 cars were like the top of the class, the elite cars, like a C-type Jaguar, D-type Jaguar, and then the beautiful Lotus 11s. That is Group 4, a little bit more rare than some of the production cars, technically production cars, but a lot more rare limited run. Group 5A, the sports racers, one of the most competitive classes we have in SVRA, a driver's class. These cars are easy to maintain, relatively inexpensive. They have 2-liter Ford Pinto engines that you could easily source back in the day from junkyards, and then the bodies are just little pieces of fiberglass. Really fun as 5A sports racers. SVRA 5B, a really fun group to watch, especially the really quick ones at 5B tend to be these Lotus 23s, the 23Bs, 1600cc engine. But something that Travis, the driver, just pointed out, you got 4 lug nuts up front, 6 lug nuts in the back, and that became quite a fiasco in the FIA back in the day. So SVRA Group 6, always a favorite of the crowds, the production American factory-built muscle cars with some race provenance, especially when you bring something like a Shelby GT350, an actual Shelby, and you will see these quite a bit at an SVRA weekend. Group 7, some of our sports racers, but this is a 2-liter, a little bit more beefed up, a little bit more downforce, a little bit more aggressive. They call it kind of the mini Can-Am. These are some crazy cars with crazy ideas as Group 7 and a lot of fun to watch. So when I think of Group 8, I think of these air-cooled Porsche 911s, just always been absolutely dominant in Group 8, but also representing Group 8 would be like the Datsun 510s, the B sedans, or the Alpha, the BMW 2002s. But I think anybody would say that the Porsche 911 air-cooled would be the best representation of Group 8. You need some help, Bill? So Group 10, kind of a catch-all to tube frame cars. So ex-Trans Am cars, some ex-IMSA cars, but then a really big growing group in SVRA is this Group 10 stock car. So you've got stock cars that would have run late model, NASCAR, Xfinity. Then we've got the Craftsman Truck Series over here. But Group 10 tube frame, custom built race cars from Trans Am, NASCAR, and IMSA. SVRA Group 11, and when you talk about Group 11, that's kind of like the prototypes, the LMP cars, but we might as well highlight the most famous Group 11 car, this Audi that just kind of changed everything in motorsports, but also this very car, Audi itself claims as the most winning Audi ever made, great thanks to Travis Engen, the pilot of this beautiful Audi R8. Group 12A, modern production muscle cars. So these are big, like 5-liter, basically our modern version of Group 6 cars, but a Ford factory production car that is a vintage car because it's kind of been obsoleted from recent racing, and we have a place for it here in Group 12 and SVRA. So a standalone group, maybe the most strict, historic Trans Am, easily a crowd favorite in vintage racing and SVRA. These cars here, it's just crazy being around them. These are actually the cars, just as they were, that actually raced in the Trans Am series back in the day. They have to be set up the way they were. And they are so strict, come with me here, that if they don't have pictures proving that this car had this Bell sticker on it, or Castrol, or any of these stickers, they can't run it. It has to look exactly like it did back when Pirelli Jones ran this car in Trans Am.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the Sebring Speed Tour. How about this crowd? Come on now, get loud. There we go. We've had Trans Am on track, SVRA on track, but the show of the field is historic Trans Am. The cars that actually raced in the historic Trans Am series. These are not tribute cars. These are not clones. These are the cars that raced in the Trans Am series from 1966 to 1972. So much history here. Wayne, don't go too far away. It's Sebring because we started here in 1966. I'm going to bring my first guest in here, Wayne Estes, the president of Sebring. How about a round of applause for our friend, Wayne Estes. Wayne, I saw you taking pictures on the wall. I know that you love these cars here. We had the Hall of Fame. Thank you so much for bringing us back. What does this mean to Sebring?
Oh, it's been an outstanding week. everything about the Hall of Fame. As soon as I saw the Hall of Fame and it was going to be here, I was excited about that. But, you know, Sebring is just such an important part of the history of Trans Am, and the cars that are out here bringing these back. It's just spectacular. The people have come out here, and it's been a terrific week.
I love it. Wayne, we always feel so welcome here. Thank you so much. But ladies and gentlemen, it's not about me. It's about these cars. Go talk to these cars and drivers. Well, you might look crazy if you're talking to cars, but that's okay. They're taking away my mic. All right, here we go. I'm going to start right here with this beautiful Penske Sunoco Javelin, the number 6. I believe Roger Penske said this was his favorite car, but I'm looking for the owner, Bill Ockerland. Where is Bill? Bill isn't around. We're looking for him, but that's okay because we come back here. So, Lucas, I'm going to want you to get some shots of this beautiful car here, this number 6 Camaro with these pinstripes, painstaking, and I'm going to then go talk to the owner, Tom McIntyre. Actually, what I would call the custodian, because he has worked so hard to preserve the history of these cars. Every little thing is exactly as it raced, and that's not easy to do, is it, Tom?
No, it's never easy to restore a car, but when they built so few of these, you know, there was only one of these cars that was built this way, so to have it exactly as it was is a real feat.
Nice. Well, Tom, thank you so much for coming out here. You came out here for our 50th. You came out here about 6 years ago. Thank you so much. It is such an honor to have you guys here. The best show in motorsports right here is historic Trans Am. Here's Bill Ockerland. So look at this, American Motors. There was a little bit of gamesmanship when Roger Penske and American Motors went together because you had to have parts legally to race in the Trans Am Series that were off the shelf. And somehow American Motors was able to get 917 Porsche Girling brakes worked into their catalog. Is that correct?
Yeah, it had an AMC part number, and obviously Roger was familiar with Porsche and 917, so they became a American Motors part. So this car does run the 917 brakes.
And it's amazing. You were talking about how well balanced the car is.
Yeah, it's extremely well balanced, and the suspension is very, very good. And this track is rough, and I also drive the CUDA, and the CUDA bounces around quite a bit. This hardly moves. So it's really a smooth, well-handling, well-balanced car, and it has power brakes on front and manual on rear, which is a balance thing that's kind of tricky, but no, it's a very, very good car.
I remember you told me you had dinner with Roger Penske a few years ago, and that was quite an honor for you, but he said he thinks this is his favorite car that he had in the Trans Am Series. Is that right?
Well, I was talking to him, and first time I ever met him, and I said I own the 69 Penske Camaro, the only one that still exists, and he goes, oh, that's neat, and I said, and I own the 71 Javelin, and he just, oh, you own the Javelin? So obviously that one was kind of a high point, I think, in his mind.
Nice. I love it. How about a round of applause for Bill Ockerland, ladies and gentlemen. Jim Haig is in the Peter Gregg car. George Fulmer, look at this thing. Beautiful, they call it the school bus yellow car. Bud Moore, George Fulmer was here just the other night, inducted into the Hall of Fame. But I want to try to make it back to my friend Jeff O'Neill as we go by Ike Keeler's beautiful Mercury Cougar. And look, I love the hand-painted, everything as it was when it ran in the Trans Am Series. And speaking of great vintage racing events, the founder, and come over here, Jeff, sorry, we're running out of range. The founder and the guy the Velocity International. This year they're at Sonoma. It's a fantastic race to watch. I always watch the live streams, but you're out here in Parnelli Jones' car at Sebring. How does that feel?
Well, it's totally outrageous. I mean, it's just, I pinch myself every time I get in that car. It's just the history, Parnelli Jones history. It's just, you know, and preserving it is really what we're doing, HTA is doing, and then that's what Velocity Invitational is all about.
Velocity Invitational, for those that don't know, is just a top-class American celebration of these types of cars, of motorsports. How can we find you and find more information?
VelocityInvitational.com, June 6, 7, 8, coming up. We'll have all kinds of entertainment. You can come, you can off-road, you can on-road, you can watch a Ferrari GTO, you can watch HTA, you can watch just about everything under the sun and drive a McLaren if you're inclined.
Nice, I love it. No, I see my friend Tommy Dreesy, who just got out of his 900 horsepower Trans Am car, Trans Shorts. Tommy Dreesy, you're ignoring me. That's not like you, man. He just got out of this Camaro in Trans Am. Tommy, but you're running the Chaparral Jim Hall car, and this is going to be a blast, isn't it?
I just want to thank the folks, Ackerlin and Jimmy and all the folks to invite me here. It's a pleasure. This is way more fun than what I just did. Too stressful. This is nice.
This is nice, and you're about to hear some beautiful music. I'm going to send it back up to the booth, and then we're going to come back here for some pomp and circumstance, and then we're going to hear these guys hit the loud pedals coming down the main straight. Let's have a round of applause for historic Trans Am.
All right, thank you, Ben Sissel. Some beautiful machinery getting ready to go with historic Trans Am here on our Mission Foods Speed Tour weekend as we roll on here at Sebring. Historic Trans Am getting ready to be our next activity on the racetrack. Ford POS 302 Mustangs, Penske Javelins, Chevy Camaros. You saw the Mercury Cougar, the Great Ghost, the Pontiac Tempest GTO is here. C28 Shelby Mustangs. What a field. And they're going to be roaring around Sebring just like they did in 1970 here shortly. Now's the time to find your favorite spot along the fence if you haven't had a chance to do so. Make that last run to the refrigerator if you're watching with us at home. And get ready. Historic Trans Am is coming up right after these messages. So stay with us. We're going to be racing here shortly on a beautiful and warm Sunday afternoon at Sebring International Raceway.
Rev up and get ready for race day with Mission Foods. The world's best racers and tastiest products come together to make every race delicious. Fully loaded tacos, fast wraps, piled high nachos. Whatever you crave, Mission will help you be race ready with easy to make recipes that will take your race day to the finish line. Keep your racing delicious and enjoy all the mouth-watering action. Brought to you by Mission Foods. Too fast, too tasty.
You've got a business to run, big and heavy products to ship, and customers who need them now. When you've got the right driver and the right equipment, you can bet on a spectacular result. Bennett understands complex logistics and puts the best team, the most time, and the latest technology into every customer relationship, so you can sit back, relax, and enjoy the race. Let us handle the rest.
Together, we can move anything.
Okay, so pretend this is your race car. It's on the trailer, and you have an accident. Ouch! At least your truck's insurance will pay for another one? Yeah, not so fast. Standard insurance won't replace your race car, whether it's in the trailer, in the paddock, in the garage, or the repair shop. But at Haggerty, we can protect it for what it's really worth anytime it's off the track. No matter what or where you race, all for less than a set of race tires. Haggerty, let's drive together.
Beautiful sunny afternoon. Temperatures approaching 80 degrees here at the legendary Sebring International Raceway. Welcome and thanks for tuning in to our live coverage here on Speed Sport 1 as we get ready for historic Trans Am here on this famed airport circuit. Let's head now down trackside. Here's Ben Sissel with our opening ceremonies.
Well, thank you very much, Ralph. Such an honor. But I want to step out. I'm going to still talk to you, but it's not about me. It's about these cars here at the Sebring Speed Tour. Look at this, ladies and gentlemen. This is art to me. Unbelievable. We are so honored to be here with historic Trans Am, the cars that raced between 1966 and 1972 in Trans Am. But I'm going to give it over to my friend right here, Bill Knox, to lead us off in an invocation, making sure all these drivers behave out there and are safe. Bill, take it away.
If you'll join me in prayer. Heavenly Father, as we come to you today, we give you all the praise for this glorious day that you've provided and our ability to be at this historic track. Father, we ask that you ask the facility in your almighty hands. You keep the drivers safe. You keep them all thinking. And Father, we ask that you protect the first responders and our military and our police, that you bring them all home safely to their families. In your Son's most precious name we pray. Amen.
Amen. Thank you very much, Bill. We have a special treat for the national anthem. If you will remove your hats, Rebecca Wills, take it away.
Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rocket's red glare, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free and the home of the brave?
Oh, come on, Sebring. You can get louder than that. Let's hear it for Rebecca Wills. Absolutely beautiful. Will you come on tour with us? Will you do this at every stop? Thank you so much for doing that. But let's bring in an absolute legend here in the Sebring Hall of Fame Motorsports. Lynn, absolute legend. She was at the Hall of Fame Friday night accepting for her team owner when she ran in Trans Am, Jack Roush, to deliver the most famous words in motorsports. Take both the mics. It's my honor to introduce Lynn St. James for the most famous words in motorsports.
Drivers, start your engines!
All right, here comes the thunder. Nicely done, Lynn. Historic Trans Am ready to go. Their second race of the weekend. Their first race yesterday was a thriller all the way to the line. And we're expecting more of the same here today. Yesterday, the Ford Javelin going after that Boss 302 Ford Mustang. And we could have a repeat of that here this afternoon. Taking a look over the field, the Camaros, the Z28s. There's that Penske Camaro of Mark Donahue, Peter Craig, George Fulmer, Bud Moore Fords, Penske Javelin, all ready to go. Love listening to that rumble right now as we wait for them to get the nod roll off. Let's give you the rundown. Jim Haig is in The pole position in car 16, that's that Ford Boss 302. Bud Moore car. Bill Aukerlin alongside in his Penske Javelin. Car number 6. The 16 is Chris Liebenberg, another Ford Mustang. Thomas McIntyre on the outside of row 2. Car number 6 is Chevy Camaro. That's the Penske car. Ike Keeler will be on the inside of row 3 in that Mercury Cougar. Car 14. John Romano in car 37 alongside of him, another Chevy Camaro. Back another row to Jeff O'Neill in car 15 in 7th position. Ford Boss 302 Mustang with James Glass in another car 15, Chevy Camaro. John Hildebrand. J.R. Hildebrand's dad has the famed Pontiac Tempest GTO known as the Gray Ghost, car 49 in 9th. Robert Canepa in the 81, another Ford Boss 302. Tommy Dreesy has the Chaparral Chevy Camaro, car number 1 in 11th. Bill Godwin near him in car 23. That's another Z28 Camaro. And it's Kevin Sittner, car 83 of Ford Boss 302. Peter Clute from Canada is here with his Ford Shelby Mustang, car 63. Ross Myers in car number 2, that's a Ford Mustang. Ken Epsman in the other AMC Javelin, that's the Roy Woods car, car number 2. Rick Jeffrey in the 96, a Chevy Camaro Z28. Steve Edemayow in a Ford Mustang Boss 302, car 78. Dennis Singleton, car 13, Chevy Camaro. Steve Link, car 72, Chevy Camaro Z28. And rounding out the field in a Ford Boss 302, Ken Adams, car number 11. 21 cars set to go racing here in our second historic Trans Am event around the 3.7 mile Sebring International Raceway. It all started here on a Friday afternoon back in March of 1966. And they ran the first Trans-American Sedan Championship event. And the Trans Am Series has been thrilling race fans across North America ever since. Yoke and Rent won the overall and the under 2-liter class that afternoon in an Alfa Romeo. Bob Tullius in a Dodge Dart took the over category victory. And here we are with some of the most iconic cars in the history of this series racing today once again here at Sebring. There you see the Gray Ghost. What a story that car is. A grocery getter. Turned into a race car. Turned into one of the most legendary race cars in the history of Trans Am. Well, Ben, if you like American muscle cars, we got you. If you like big V8s, we got that. If you like belching flames, we got that too.
And then add on top of that all of this history. Like these cars, really, Roger Penske wouldn't be Roger Penske without these cars out there. The Bud Moore, the Parnelli Jones, the George Fulmer, Revson, Peter Revson, Vic Elford, you know, just a lot. I'm a little out of breath, Ralph, from running up the stairs, looking for my grid sheet, but so excited. I wouldn't miss this for the world. You guys are about to hear some of the most beautiful music known to man when they come and take the green flag here at Sebring, just like they did in 1966 when they all get onto the loud pedal at the same time.
There's Tommy Dreesy back there in that white with the blue stripes, the Chaparral Chevy Camaro. Jim Hall Racing entry back in the day.
And you know, I want to point out how difficult it is for these drivers to keep these cars in the condition that they raced, because even though these are older cars from 66 to 72, parts have evolved and they've gone through. So to try to keep all the parts original, the brakes that they would have run, the tires that they would have run, all of the stickers have to match with the livery that they ran back in the day. Look at that Tempest, unbelievable. Hildebrand, thank you so much for bringing that out, John Hildebrand. That car is currently for sale
the Great Ghost, one of the most famous cars in Trans Am history, is for sale. So reach out to John Hildebrandt and see if you want to get that car.
And I'm 5 numbers in a Powerball short.
It's actually pretty reasonable because these are investments. You know, these cars keep increasing in value, and the more and more you race them. But what I think it is it's basically a ticket into any vintage racing event you'll ever need. If you have a historic
nowhere in the
Trans
world
Am
you
car,
can't take that
yeah,
car.
there isn't. Like Goodwood would accept you. Obviously, the Velocity Invitational will accept you. The Monterey Historics, anything out there will accept you, as all of the great SVRA and SpeedTour events.
All right, we are getting closer to the green, making our way down the Ullman straightaway behind the Janetta safety car. It'll be off into Sunset Bend and off the final corner at 17. Staring at, hopefully, a waving green flag.
Now, Ralph, I know you're a car enthusiast as well, and I was talking about the musical note, and I love that you do this, but we're going to stay silent, right, when these cars take that green flag into one, because I want to hear it just as much as you do.
That's right. We want to hear these engines roar. The cacophony of sound that comes from historic Trans Am. Here we go, coming off at turn 17. The Janetta safety car is off course. Watching the flag stand. Under the bridge, and there's the green, and we're off and racing with historic Trans Am at Sebring. Off the throttle, onto the brakes, back into the throttle, and Ben, it looks like Jim Haig and that Bud Moore Mustang took the lead over Bill Ockerland right there in the Javelin.
Jim Haig, unbelievable driver in historic Trans Am. I've been following these drivers for about 12 or 15 years. Unbelievable group, just great guys to hang out with. But yeah, here comes Jim Haig, Bill Ockerland, and Chris Liebenberg from Three Dog Garage into Mission Foods turn 7, followed by Ike Keeler. And then John Romano, Jeff O'Neill, Hildebrandt, Jim Glass. Cars are looking good, aren't they, Ralph?
Yeah, they sure are. There's the Roy Woods Javelin coming through. I saw Peter Kluck go through there. Tommy Tracy starting to work his way through, and you got to be a little bit careful. You can't knife your way through the way you did in the main Trans Am race if you're Tommy. You got to make sure you got plenty of room to clear everybody here.
Yeah, I hope that his mechanics hit the reset button that's on the back of Tommy Dreese's head and set him to vintage racing.
Yeah.
There's Bill Ockerland, though. Watch out, because Bill Ockerland and Jim Haig, I think they traded positions 4 or 5 times a lap sometimes in the last race yesterday. It was unbelievable to watch.
It was the width of the chrome bumper on the front of the car yesterday was the difference between first and second.
These cars have terrible brakes, way too much power, way too much weight, so difficult to drive, and these drivers are driving these priceless cars within inches of each other.
We talk about wheeling a race car. That's exactly what these drivers are doing here today. You're going to have to work pretty hard inside with those big steering wheels. Here comes the Javelin. New leader here at Sebring.
Mark Donahue takes the lead over Peter Gregg, followed by George Fulmer there.
And here's Peter Kluck up the inside in his Mustang. He's going to slot right in behind that Parnelli Jones number 15, which is a stunning car in person.
It really is. They didn't run that livery with Bud Moore too long. They went to that school bus yellow.
Yeah.
But both of them are absolutely gorgeous. There isn't a stinker in this bunch, ladies and gentlemen. Look at that. That's Jeff O'Neill with Velocity Invitational in that beautiful Bud Moore Parnelli Jones history-making historic Trans Am car.
And PJ Jones was here earlier in the weekend to accept the historic or the induction into the Hall of Fame for Trans Am for his father on Friday.
it was great too because Racer Magazine had developed these great videos. So as PJ gets up on the stage, he talked about his dad's career in off-road racing and how that translated to Pirelli Jones off-roading the cars in Trans Am. And right when he said that, you saw a picture, video images of Pirelli Jones making a pass through the grass as he said that. And he didn't even know that was happening, but we couldn't have timed it any better. There's Peter Kloot right behind Jeff O'Neill, Hildebrandt, and Romano going at it, as is Jim Glass.
Well, one advantage to that Pontiac Tempest GTO, it's a pretty big car, so you're going to need a lot of room to get around him. He doesn't have to try to block you. It's just difficult.
Yeah, and it's so crazy, the history of that car and how Pontiac didn't want to enter Trans Am, and then he built this car from basically his family's car, and then Pontiac ends up naming a car after the series, and that actually became the biggest line item in the budget for the SCCA was the royalties they got from the Pontiac Trans Am, like the Smokey and the Bandit car.
Yeah, the Screaming Chicken on the hood.
But look at this. I'm like a 12-year-old kid up here right now watching this. This is so much fun. And this is what I love about vintage racing, historic Trans Am races. You know, there's a group of 5 or 6 up front. There's a group of 5 or 6 in the middle. There's like the mid to back pack, 5 or 6, and then there's cars in the back, and they're all having a blast. But here comes another pass.
Well, you're wondering how much horsepower is under the hood of that Mustang? Plenty. Look at him power past the Javelin as they come to sunset.
All of the manufacturers involved had to have in this class a 305 or less. So obviously the 302 for the Fords. And I can't remember what AMC had to do, but they had to like almost de-stroke it to bring it down to a 305. But man, Chris Liebenberg there in third in that George Fulmer car, coming up behind Bill Ockerland in that Penske Mark Donahue AMC Javelin.
These guys run hard too. They're stunning cars, but they don't just, they're no trailer queens here.
I did a video years ago when they came to Watkins Glen and put a camera in that car of Ken Epsman looking over his shoulder. And he is so smooth, it looks like he's just driving to the grocery store, where all the other drivers are just sawing at the wheel. I don't know how he has that thing set up, but very, very smooth. There's the 83. I believe that's my friend Ken Adams. I was wrong. The 83 of Kevin Sittner. Sorry about that, ladies and gentlemen, but we try to get it right. But look at that Tempest. And I believe it was Bob Tullius that won here in the first race in 1966 in a Pontiac Tempest. There's the car from me, though.
Tullius wanted a Dodge Dart.
Dodge Dart, you're right. Thank you for that. I hate to be wrong.
It was that 66 race.
But that Camaro there, unbelievable.
Look at that Z28 69, just stunning.
Steve Lincoln, that Camaro. They're keeping it on the track, and I don't think you appreciate how difficult that is, ladies and gentlemen. But look at that. Up front, group of cars as they come in through the tower turn. Such a historic circuit with such historic cars, great drivers, and just fantastic camaraderie here in historic Trans Am. There's the 83 of Sydney. Ford Boss 302. Here are the leaders. We've got Bill Ockerland racing the Donahue Javelin.
Here comes Kloot again. Boy, Peter is pretty racy here this afternoon in his Ford Mustang, isn't he?
Yeah, Peter, even though you own a body shop, it doesn't mean these other drivers do.
One of the best in North America.
Yeah.
Canadian company. A couple of Mustangs back here.
Peter Kloot.
Love that grabber blue, huh?
Oh yeah, that grabber blue there, unbelievable. That's Robert Canepa in that grabber blue Ford Boss 302. There's Tommy Dreesy in that Vic Elford winning at Watkins Glen Chaparral Jim Hall Camaro. We have a special guest in the booth with us, though. Our new CEO, Lee Giannone, vintage racer. I'm going to put him on the headset. He's going to give us his take on watching historic Trans Am at Sebring. Lee, welcome to your first weekend with us, and what a sight to see. How about that?
It's fantastic. I love these cars. I think this is one of the most exciting series that we see in vintage racing. I'm a fan of the cars since they were on track for the first time when they ran years and years ago, and the fact that we have all these fantastic cars that are maintained and raced hard, and there's nothing truer than collect art and new racing. This is the epitome of that. These are some of my favorite cars on the racetrack, and these guys they're hauling the mail on these things.
They are, and that's a lot of hard work. Lee, thank you so much for joining us up here, but we're going to get back to this race route because it is getting good.
It has been a tremendous battle at the front of the field. As we've talked about, these are in so many ways priceless machinery, but these drivers are really wheeling them there this afternoon. Battle in the top 5 is outstanding.
That's Ross Myers in that Ford Mustang blue. Trying to go through all of these as they come through. Great drone shots here as they come into 10. Now this is a high-speed right-hander. You've got to set it up right to get the left-handers. That is Ken Epsman and Tommy Dreese.
Yeah.
Ken Epsman in that Roy Woods Javelin, Tommy Dreese in that Jim Hall Chaparral Vic Elford Camaro. This was the phrase, win on Sunday, sell on Monday. And the manufacturers really went for the championship in 1970. They didn't actually have a manufacturer's championship until 1972 in Trans Am. But they learned pretty early on that if Pirelli, Jones, or George Fulmer won in a Mustang, they sold a lot of Mustangs. And if Mark Donahue won in a Camaro, they sold a lot of Camaros. And so all the manufacturers were vying to have some cars racing in the Trans Am series. But how about that number 13 of Dennis
I'll tell you what,
Singleton?
Peter Klut's trying to help them sell some Mustangs this coming week because he's really pushing it.
He is on the loud pedal.
He's sitting in 3rd in car 63 right now.
Now, speaking to Gary Moore, I didn't know this. I thought the Cougars and the Mustangs were the same cars, just different bodies, but there is a wheelbase difference.
Yeah.
And I heard that the
Cougar's
Cougar,
longer, right?
Yeah, the Cougar actually has maybe a little bit better balance, is the opinion of Gary Moore, who races a Shelby GT350 and a Mercury Cougar with us.
Well, the Cougar was supposed to be a little bit more luxurious.
Yes. Yeah,
of a performance car.
The luxury A sedan car.
Yeah.
But here they come into Mission Foods turn 7.
There's Dreese.
Look at that Chevrolet bow tie with Steve Link behind him in that Camaro.
And I'll say it as I do every time I see one. How come Chevrolet only made the 69 body style for 1 year?
I'll never understand that either.
The biggest question in the history of automobile manufacturing. They could bring that car back now in that body style, and it would sell out.
Unbelievable. I think you're absolutely right. 2 Mustangs going at it. We were talking about, you prefer the fastback, and then you've got kind of the notchback, the coupe there.
I'm definitely a fastback guy when it comes to the Mustang, and definitely a 69 like that red 72 when you're talking about Chevys.
Yeah. Oh no! I don't think that was a nudge. I think Tommy just got loose there, but it looked pretty close.
You don't think he hit him?
I don't think he hit him.
It was awful close.
But knowing Ken Epsman, he can put that car anywhere he wants. Ken Epsman, a ton of talent. I think I saw maybe a little bit of smoke out of either Hager, Liebenberg there, and then this should be
I thought it was
Romano.
Liebenberg. He had his hand out the window too.
That's Bill Godwin in that Chevrolet Camaro Z28, blue and white. But let's see what happens here. Up front, we're getting about, looks like maybe 2-3 laps remaining, but look at that, ladies and gentlemen. To me, that's the car.
Take a look at this, Ben. Let's see if there's some contact here or not going into Mission Foods turn number 7. Right up the inside. Oh yeah, he clipped him. Just the very back there.
And ladies and gentlemen, I'm sorry for that. We usually do not show any metal-to-metal contact in vintage racing, especially historic Trans Am, so my apologies for that. But the racing is getting so good up front. We've got Jeff O'Neill out there in that beautiful car. We've got Robert Canova coming up from the back, or from the middle in that Ford Boss 302. But here is the race for the lead, and what happened to Jim Hague? Is he in front of, because we've got Peter Kloot. And that's Liebenberg. Where did Jim Hague go? Is he up? Can't tell. No, Bill Ockerland is up front.
Yeah,
and then Peter Kloot, Liebenberg, and Ike Keeler. So where is Jim Hague in that Peter Gregg car?
Well, he hasn't checked out on the field, that's for sure.
Look at that thing. The sound, ladies and gentlemen, that these cars are making so difficult to drive. But it does look like the 83 is having some mechanical problems there with Kevin Sittner. We're going to go with our leaders now and follow these leaders around as we've got Bill Ockerland, Peter Kloot, Chris Liebenberg, and Ike Keeler. And there is Tom McIntyre in that winning 10 of 13 Trans Am races in 1968 to be the champion, and he missed the first 2 rounds. So basically winning 10 out of 11 races that they entered, which is absolutely unbelievable. Such a historic car. So many books written about that car and this team of Mark Donohue and Roger Penske. The Unfair Advantage, a huge, basically folklore in all of motorsports. My toes are tapping over here. I'm getting a little nervous to the end of this thing. We are going to do a podium celebration, but with HTA, we want to celebrate the cars, so we're bringing all the drivers in and having one big photo op, the HTA family. That is the 23. You hear him squealing the tires there of Bill Godwin.
Bill Godwin, yeah.
You see the clag, as David Hobbs would say, coming off. But here we go, coming into 17. Looks like Bill Ockerland is the class of the field right now, but Liebenberg coming up behind.
Yeah, Liebenberg's been an interesting story here today. That, not sure if the car's been 100% all afternoon, but he's fast here at the end.
Look,
tight pack here coming down towards turn number 1 with the Penske Camaro out front.
That's a sight you saw quite a few times in 1968, that Camaro out front.
Oh, yeah.
As the big 3 battled it out in Trans Am plus AMC.
The Sunoco colors.
We've got the white flag out, ladies
Gold
and gentlemen.
pinstriping, just stunning. White flag, final lap, here we go.
So there's Jim Hague.
Yeah, he is falling back.
Hildebrandt. Jeff O'Neill behind the Gray Ghost. Beautiful car. I got to watch Parnelli Jones sit back in that car at Indy when Bill Ockerland brought it, and Parnelli ran in the pace lap for us. Parnelli got in the seat and he said, like a glove, it's just like the old times. And he's like, it was like taking a time machine back to you know, the late 60s, early 70s for him. And he had the biggest grin on his face, and it was quite an honor for me to see that.
Singleton getting around McIntyre. The older generation Camaro moves around the younger.
We're on the last lap, and I hope we can catch up to the leaders and you can bring us home, Ralph. But you can see his hands moving in the Gray Ghost. That thing just has to be really difficult to rotate as they go side by side at the 7.
Arguably the most unique Pontiac in the history of motorsports.
Yeah, maybe. So what year was the split bumper Camaro?
Is that 70?
Not sure, but I also like that Camaro body style as well. All right, here come the leaders moving through the traffic.
Looks like our Penske Camaro has some issues there, and
yeah, possibly.
Getting out of the leaders
through. Being a
everybody.
gentleman racer, I appreciate that, Tom McIntyre. But Ralph, we're coming up to the bitter end of this. I don't want it to end. I'm kind of sad, but bring us home, Ralph.
I know, makes it a little tough over the next couple of weeks till we get to Michelin Road in Atlanta. Peter Kloot in the 63, thinking about making a move here, reel in Liebenberg down the Ullman straightaway for the final time. Åkerlund out front, Liebenberg holds second, Klutz back there in third. And the Javelin came up a little short yesterday, but not today. Off of turn 17. Up the front straightaway, checkered flag waves. And it's the Penske Javelin of Bill Åkerlund, car number 6, that takes the win here in that stunning red, white, and blue color scheme. Liebenberg holds on for second in the Budmore Mustang. Keeler shows in third in the Cougar. Then Klute in fourth. Hildebrand gets the Grey Ghost across the line in fifth. There she is. And O'Neill and Glass, both in the 15s, come across the line behind the Grey Ghost. Last few cars across the line to finish out the day, including Ken Epsman. In his Javelin. That's the Roy Woods car. Drivers saluting the fans and our turn marshals here today. Historic Trans Am has put on some of the best racing all weekend long here at Sebring. So if you have an opportunity to come out to a Speed Tour event, I highly recommend it. Come check out these historic Trans Am cars in person. Here's a look at those results. Åkerlund, Liebenberg, Keeler, Klute, Hildebrand, your top 5. Canepa, O'Neill, Glass, Haig fell all the way back to 9th after leading quite a few laps. And John Romano rounds out the top 10 in his Chevy Camaro. Tommy Dracy from the back of the field up to 11th in the Chaparral Camaro. And soon these guys will have made their way around one final time around the 3.7 mile Sebring layout. And they'll head to Victory Lane, and Ben Sissel, who left the booth moments ago, will be there awaiting their arrival. Some of these drivers will be back in action throughout the course of the afternoon here as the SVRA activity picks up, the Sports Car Vintage Racing Association. Some of these drivers bring multiple vehicles with them on a Speed Tour weekend so they can participate in as many races as possible. Again, it all started on a Friday afternoon with a 4-hour race in March of 1966. On a Friday afternoon, the first Trans-American Sedan Championship event. And then the manufacturers started taking note of this series and the opportunities it could provide. And we were blessed with these incredible machines into the early 70s. And now Trans Am has evolved to the spectacular 900 horsepower beasts that we saw racing earlier this morning. Fortunately, we've got plenty of people out there that are passionate about keeping this era of Trans Am alive and well and thrilling the fans just like it did in the late 60s and early 70s. And as Ben pointed out, all the cars will make the turn to the right and head towards Victory Lane. Steps of the podium.
Hey, yeah, bring this one in.
And right there will show you the age of the race car when you can actually open the door. There's that stunning Penske Hilton Racing Camaro. The Sunoco livery. Pinstriping on the hood is always an impressive part of this car. No wraps back then. Hand painted. That's the 7, the hotel on property here.
So
down
what
by
we'll do,
Mission Foods Turn 7.
just get shots of the car.
SVRA getting ready with their next race of the afternoon. This will be PSSA rolling out. SpeedTour Series will move on to Michelin Road in Atlanta in March 21st through the 23rd. Barber Motorsports Park for the first time in October this year, and we'll close it out October 30th through November 2nd at Circuit of the Americas. Those are all SpeedTour events, so you'll see the Trans Am cars presented by Pirelli. You'll see the Cube 3 TA2 Championship. You'll see all the SVRA categories, including historic Trans Am. So make your plans. Visit gotransam.com and come on out and join us at the races. All right, let's head down now to the Victory Circle area. Let's go join Ben Sissel and meet the drivers who put on a great show in historic Trans Am here this afternoon. Ben, take it away.
Oh man, Ralph, I'm like a 12-year-old kid down here with these cars and drivers as they're eating some of their Mission chips. Come on up here, guys, I love it. They're chowing down on some Mission chips, you know. Juan Gonzalez, one of our racing friends, they like that. Too fast, too tasty. Everybody, come on up here, man. I'm allowed up there? Yeah, come on, that was so much fun. No, so we'll put... I don't even know who 1, 2, and 3 were, but we'll put you guys up here, and then we're going to do a big family photo. It looks like you guys had some fun out there.
It was awesome. Baby, hold me up.
It was awesome. You can't ask for anything better than a car that can't stop and it can't turn. It's just wonderful.
Had a great time. I was all by myself, though. But I won't tell you what I was doing, no. Just kidding.
I love it. And that's what this is all about. This is supposed to be fun. I've got my friend Ike Keeler here. Wait, stay up here, guys. We're doing a big family photo. We need all historic Trans Am drivers up here because it's all about the cars. It's all about the history in historic Trans Am. But we want record of this. We're not sure this is ever going to be able to happen at Sebring. Ike Keeler and that Mercury Cougar up here in 3rd place. How's that feel?
Great, man. Awesome. Love it.
Now, the Keeler family has a lot of history with Ford and Mercury and Lincoln. Tell us about that history.
Yes, they do. We're one of their biggest automotive component parts suppliers for Ford, GM, and Chrysler.
What was the quote, I think, from Lee Iacocca about you grab a door handle?
I don't know about that one.
There's something about you grab a door handle of a Ford, you're shaking the hand of...
Henry, yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, you're shaking the hand of your dad. That you told me about this quote years ago.
Make something up.
Yeah, make something up, Liebenberg says. Three Dog Garage, man, I know it was so much effort to put this together. Great show, great race. You're here on the steps of Sebring. How's it feel?
It's wonderful. I mean, first of all, for Ross Myers and all the guys at Three Dog Garage, I got to thank them because otherwise I wouldn't be here. And just running with the rest of what we call the family is a wonderful thing anytime, no matter where you finish.
I love it. We were talking about that just an hour ago in the Trans Am Podium, how it's a Trans Am family. An historic Trans Am, it's even a family.
Yeah, absolutely. We know everybody, it's really more social than it is the cars anymore.
It's all about the party. Bill Ockerland, take the mic. Tell us about your race in that beautiful Penske Javelin.
Yeah, it was a fun race, and everybody did really well and enjoyed it. Lost my wingman, Jimmy Haig, partway through. I don't know what happened to him, but we had a fun time, and the car ran great, and thank everyone for coming. It was a lot of fun.
Nice. How about that? All right, historic Trans Am drivers, come on up here. Come on up here, buddy. Let's line up. Let's line up. We are going to do a family photo. We were talking about the family of Trans Am. I'm going to come down here off of the stage so we can talk about this. But ladies and gentlemen, I feel like a 12-year-old. I'm so excited. That was such a great show. Some of the coolest cars. And the reason we're doing this is because we might not see this again at Sebring. So how about a round of applause for the historic Trans Am drivers for bringing these things out, having such a great race. We love bringing historic Trans Am to our SVRA events. I don't see Jeff O'Neill up there, but I believe Historic Trans Am is coming to the Velocity Invitational. Historic Trans Am drivers, listen. On behalf of SVRA and SpeedTour and the Trans Am Series presented by Pirelli, thank you so much. Your crews, thank you so much. The mechanics, all the effort that you guys have to put in to keep these things original, to keep the history alive. All of these deserve to be in a museum, but all of you have the attitude that would be doing these cars a disservice. That is what Historic Trans Am is about. We got to see something that you never get to see. How about one more time for Historic Trans Am? Thank you guys so much. And now, stay cool. Tom McIntyre, you are my hero, sir. Thank you so much. Thank you guys so much. Historic Trans Am. I absolutely love it. Andy Lally, come over here real quick. The new president of Trans Am, and you, Mr. I know you love the Trans Am history. What do you think about these guys?
I love the fact that these guys aren't just here polishing these cars up and making them look pretty, that they're out here at one of the most treacherous tracks in North America and bouncing around over the bumps and flat out and driving the heck out of them. So it's a pleasure to have you guys out here. It's awesome to see these cars in motion, and thanks for coming out.
When you won the 24 Hours of Daytona, did you have your sponsors hand-painted on the car?
I had this slot. I had this Matchbox car. I mean, this is such an iconic livery. I've had 8 or 10 of these Matchbox cars back here. This is just such a thing. This is one of the beginnings of what helped me fall in love with Trans Am racing, and to have to be literally standing next to this car is probably something I never thought I'd actually get a chance to do.
Have you looked inside the door cards exactly as it was? Unbelievable.
That's scary because like nowadays where there's nothing that was as braver or crazier, one or the other. I'm not sure which it was, as to how these guys drove these cars back then. I know they probably didn't know any better. These guys are kind of crazy for getting in these nowadays, knowing like what can happen. But the speed that these cars go around and to see what these guys did back in the day, it's mesmerizing. It's really, really cool.
Nice, awesome. The new president of Trans Am, Andy Lally, unbelievable. Gentlemen, thank you guys so much. Tom McIntyre, you, sir, are my hero. I'm going to send it back up to you in the booth, Ralph.
Thanks for doing that. Thank you, gentlemen. My pleasure. How cool was that?
All right, Ben, thank you for wrapping everything up there at the Podium, Victory Lane. They're getting ready for the PSSA race, and looks like one of the cars has had a mechanical issue on the pace lap behind the safety car. It would be the 99 machine. We don't have a 99 on the, let's see here. Car 99 is Global Newsom. Sebeco NPO1 Evo. I'm not sure what happened to him. They're still working to get that thing up on the rollback. There's that Audi R8. Just a stunning race car. Such a dominant force when it competed in IMSA competition. American Le Mans Series, as it was known back in the day. Well, while we wait for them to clear this race car off the track and we're able to get to some racing, let's take you back and introduce you to a young man who did a tremendous job as our race starter earlier today.
So a lot of people go out of their way for me to have fun, and so, you know, getting involved with the Make-A-Wish Foundation is something that I've dreamt about for a very, very long time. And the gratification that gets reflected back to us from that is just outstanding. And we meet the nicest people, and they're so resilient and brave in everything that they deal with. It's inspiring, and it's, you know, it makes you count your blessings and keeps you grounded. So it's, to me, this aspect of it is just as important as the racing, if not more.
I got to meet some of the drivers, got a bunch of autographs, got to see some of the cars, and even got into some of the race cars. I got into like a Lamborghini, a prototype car. It was really cool. I got to see him race, which was nice. Very chaotic races.
Yeah, it was rough. Yeah, we started farther back than I would have liked. This is my first time at this track, so there was a pretty steep learning curve. It's a lot of fun though, and yeah, so we walked through the paddock, you know, got some cool swag and met a bunch of really nice people, sat in race cars.
It helps like kids like learn about what they want to do in life and like really give them like a hands-on experience of something they might want to achieve. Like a dream of mine is to become a race car driver, so it gives me like a hands-on like experience seeing like how a race car driver like lives day to day and see what they do to prepare for races, how they race and post-race and stuff.
So this is our second year working with Make-A-Wish. So we rolled out something at the end of the season last year. We're trying to obtain enough funding. So Race Marketing USA is a 501c3 nonprofit, and so we're using that to obtain funding to make all these events possible. And if we can do it at every race, we'd love to. There's 12 races on the series, and you know, it's a nationally touring deal, so it's not cheap, but it's a lot of fun, and it makes it all worth it.
Great job by Bob Accardo and welcoming Kevin here to our Speed Tour event at Sebring, season opening weekend. Looks like Kevin has the passion and the desire to make motorsports a career, and wish him all the best as he chases that dream as well. Still waiting to get our PSSA race off and running. If we can keep our window open enough to show you a few laps on the green here on Speed Sport 1. Travis Enkin at the front of the field in that stunning Audi R8 LMP.
This is actually SVRA Group 5, 7, 11 and the Prototype Sprint Series Association presented by Hankook. So some mixed classes in this. So there's a PSSA race inside of an SVRA race in this class. But Ralph, if you want to run us through the names here as we come to take the green flag.
Well, we already talked about Travis Enkin in car number 2. Wayne Williams on the outside of row 1 in 57A. And you have Ralph Lamacchia in car number 7, Mazda Elon DPO2. Joe Colley in car 39, a Dallara EXP. Jacek Muka, I didn't see Jacek out there, did you? I don't think he made the call in his Cadillac DPI Dallara, which is a shame. Beautiful car. Henry Payne is here, car number 13 in the Lola T90, followed by John Thompson in the 14, a Lola 90. Henry Payne in another Lola 90, car 90, and Samuel Payne in a Lola Sport 2000, car 16. Gary Gray, number 379, is a Radical SR8. Jeff Williams in the 427, another Radical. Keith Taylor, car 20, another Radical. The Sabeco of Seth Henry, car 59. Rob Sherwood in a Peyton Lola S2000, number 34. The 57 is Sean Monet, another Radical. Kurt Leviton in a Carver CS2 S2000, car 28. James Dennison, number 44, in a Revolution 427. Thomas Lacosta in the 53. Gobel Newsom, we talked about his problems with the Sabeco. Andrea Robertson in the Ford GT. And Rafe Baskin in another Radical, car number 10.
Unbelievable field of cars and some history here. Andrea Robertson and her husband won the 24-hour Le Mans in that Ford GT, but they're coming to take the green, Ralph.
Yep, after a bit of a delay, finally ready to get this one underway. Green flag waves, and we're underway here at Sebring. Group 5A, 7, 11, and PSSA. Now, yesterday, the Audi was the first one to turn 1 and checked out on the field, as you would imagine, but right now he's settling into second.
Wayne Williams gets the jump there. Travis Engen with that car, he's got to wait for the tires to come up to temperature, and he also doesn't want to do anything to risk that car, so he'll give it to Wayne Williams, and then he's going to find a way probably around him when he gets the chance. That's Ralph Lamacchia in that Mazda Elan DPO2 and Joe Colley in that Dallara EXP.
Mission Foods turn number 7 here. There's the Payne family. They're multicolored machines.
Rob Sherwood in that Canon number 34 S2000. S2000s was a fantastic class in the SCCA. It was a formula, basically. It was a racer's class, Ford Pinto 2-liter engines, lots of different manufacturers, but really good battles out there, as we see Wayne Williams in that 2023 Radical SR10 in the PSSA series, followed by Travis Engen in that 2005 Audi R8.
Do you remember when they took these?
That is Jacek Muka in that Cadillac behind Travis.
Do you remember when they took the Sports 2000 cars and came up with the American City Racing League?
I don't know.
Yeah, the concept was no different than Major League Baseball, the NBA, or the NFL, where a city is actually the main sponsor of the team. And they put some cities together and had a league there for a very short period of time. I remember it because Phil and Steve Mayer, the Olympic skiing stars for Team USA, both competed in it.
So now
they were on Team Reno.
Travis Engen out front with Jacek Muka in that Cadillac. right behind. So that's our 2 Group 11 cars here. Actually, sorry, we have 4 Group 11 cars, but that's the 2 Group 11 cars up front. And this is starting to look like the 12 Hours of Sebring. I like these Elan DPOs right there. That's the DPO2 of Ralph Lamacchia. With the lights on coming down into turn 7. That's such a Sebring sight, isn't it?
Yeah, it's still bright, sunny afternoon here in Sebring. Temperatures in the 80s.
There's that Dallara EXP being piloted by Joe Cawley, another Group 11 car. Jacek Muka harder on the brakes, later on the brakes than Travis Engen. This could be a battle here. Jacek Muka is in a 2019 Cadillac. I'm sorry, hold on, I gotta find this. He's in a 2019 Cadillac DPI. There it is. The drone shots, you can really see who's later on the brakes, where the gaps are. It's a neat perspective.
Yes. You can also see how flat this racetrack is.
Yeah. So have you had fun at your first SpeedTour event, Ralph?
Yeah, I've been to SpeedTour events before as a fan. First time I've had an opportunity to come and call the action, and it's been fantastic. Whether it's 900 horsepower Trans Am machines presented by Pirelli or historic Trans Am, some of these exciting SVRA categories. It's been something to look at everywhere around this racetrack in the paddock all weekend long. And here comes a challenge for the lead. And guess what? He got the pass completed. Lamacchia. Now Lamacchia making the pass.
Jacek Muka.
Jacek Muka, I'm sorry. Muka makes the pass and takes over the lead from Engen.
But look at this great battle in S2000. But don't ever count Travis Engen out. Even though there's about a 14-year difference in these cars, that Audi is quite unstoppable. Jacek Muka is a very good race car driver. He's got all kinds of different cars. Last season he was with us in that Cadillac, I believe it's that Cadillac, but it was the black carbon fiber. This year he's wrapped it in that really cool, almost a Gulf livery to that, isn't there?
Yeah, it does have that look to it, doesn't it?
But Ralph, I've really had a great time being up here in the booth. I love starting our season at the Sebring SpeedTour. You've already taught me so much, and I can't wait to be in the booth with you and see what I learn. And you know, we're just trying to get better up here. So if you know anything about these cars, or if you have any information for us, or if we get something wrong, feel free to leave us a comment. If we get something wrong, you can do it in all caps on SpeedTour TV on YouTube, and let us know who you're rooting for, where you're watching from, and if you have any information on these cars, please let us know. Boy from New York is back with us.
If you're watching on Speed Sport 1, our broadcast window there is closing here momentarily. If you're watching on YouTube on either the SVRA or SpeedTour YouTube pages, stay right there. You won't miss a lap of the coverage all the way to the checkered flag. But we're quickly approaching the end of our broadcast window on Speed Sport 1. So if you want to see the finish of this race, be prepared to move over to YouTube in either SVRA or SpeedTour pages.
You can really see the bumps going into turn 1, our Cube 3 architecture turn 1.
Well, Ben, for now, here on Speed Sport 1, thank you very much for joining me in the booth. Ralph Shaheen, we hope you've enjoyed our afternoon's worth of coverage from here at Sebring International Raceway with Trans Am Series presented by Pirelli and historic Trans Am. For Ben Sissel, I'm Ralph Shaheen. So long from now. We'll see you soon from Road Atlanta.
Well, if you've stayed with us on YouTube, we are back. There's that DP02 fighting that Dallara. Those DP02s are just unstoppable cars. Somebody kind of described them to me as almost like an Indy Lights car with not with a skin of a closed-wheeled car. You know, it's almost like an open-wheel car with the skin of a closed-wheel car, but they are just unstoppable cars. So Jacek Mucha going through 17.